So why do I think this one is going to sell? Really, it comes down to 3 reasons that I want to touch on today. One of them actually made my day, finally. And just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Matt Kuykendall. I review everything hi-fi, new and old, budget to outlandish, as well as many DIY designs. I'm also a contributing author for the Absolute Sound magazine, so I see a little bit of everything come through here. Getting into reason number 1, this product actually solves problems for real people. And when I say real people, I mean the common problems the majorities have. One gripe I have in the budget space is oftentimes people ask for too much or too complicated of features rather than just keeping it simple and effective. No one wants half-baked features and strange designs. And that's why reason number 1 really hits home. I've asked for this feature a dozen times and it's only recently started to show up on new products outside of a few outliers. And that's a high-pass filter. A high-pass filter is going to allow you to filter your main speakers with 3 selections. 20 Hz to 20 kHz, which is essentially full range, 80 Hz to 20 kHz, and finally 120 Hz to 20 kHz. This is a fantastic upgrade over many other preamps because it allows you to select, say, 80 Hz to 20 kHz, which will in turn only send that range out to the speakers, allowing you to then run your subwoofer up to roughly 80 Hz and allow the much more capable sub to handle the lower frequencies, while taking the burden off of your main speakers. You're going to notice that you're able to play your music louder with less distortion. In many ways, it's very noticeable on smaller drivers that struggle to produce anything in the lower frequency chart. Beyond the speaker, it also greatly lessens the load for your amp, as the lower frequencies have a much larger draw. It's a win-win and solves multiple problems all at once. This is definitely one of my favorite parts of this design. While dial could have been a little bit better to fine-tune it for your particular speakers, this is going to do the job for most people. 80 to 120 will likely end up being the most common used here, but people with really small bookshelves at a desk might find a lot of use with that 120 to 200 as well. And just to be clear, there is no bass management for the sub. It's full range on the output there, but that's perfectly fine as you will simply set the filter for your speakers on the bottom of the preamp, and then set the filter on the sub and on the sub amp itself. It's the best way to get full range on a budget, really. We should all have goals, right? And I'm sure many, if not all of you, have something on the radar right now. For myself in this channel, it's the very reasonable goal of 25,000 subscribers before the end of the year. But in all honesty, I want to blow that number out of the water. Please consider sending a subscription this way and joining the community. I have a lot of great content coming up. Thanks, I really do appreciate it. On to reason number 2. It has 3 inputs and 3 outputs. We get 2 RCA and 1 XLR input, and for the output, we get 1 RCA, 1 XLR, and that full range sub out. Remember the early days of some of these Class D amps where the sub out wasn't even variable? On what planet did they think we wanted to adjust the subs separately on each volume change? I'm still trying to forget that. Thankfully, we're kind of past that now, well, on most of the designs anyways. Do you guys think we've passed the dark ages on budget Class D amps at this point? I'm personally not really sure. I feel like we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel on a lot of the new products, but I won't say we clear it until we start to see a bit more differences between the designs on, say, the amp chips. Once that happens, things are going to start to get really interesting around here. For a preamp at this price point, I'm not aware of anything that really matches up here. Just for an example, bring in a streamer, a turntable, a CD player, and output it to an amp like V3 Monos or ZA3 or a pair of ZA3s. Add in a sub and a set of speakers and have complete control over everything for a separate focused desktop setup, or even a standalone main listening space. There is an included remote that can switch between sources as well as control volume. The remote covers other Fosi models as well, so if you bring in a ZD3 DAC, for example, you can control that one from here as well. It's the same remote we see day in and day out on these. It's simple, plastic, lightweight, but it does work and it has a decent amount of range. On to number 3. We are now getting to the point on the budget-friendly designs that it isn't like, oh, it sounds pretty good, but it still has all these strange gotchas. And we all know what I mean there. All, like random features, things that don't fit, things like that. We have now ascended into the phase where most of the sound and design is starting to get dialed in, and we're starting to get a lot more polished looks and convenience features. Just to name a few on this one, it has a remote like I mentioned earlier, but when switching between sources, it retains the volume memory for each one, so there isn't any surprises as you switch through the inputs. It has standard balance controls as well as tone controls, all with a center detent of course, and the ability to bypass it with a switch on the bottom here. We get multiple input and output connections, which opens us up far beyond just a single desktop design. And I guess we shouldn't forget about the trigger options as well. That's another common miss that I've seen over the years on many products. The ZP3 actually supports RCA and XLR signal conversion as well, which opens us up to even more possibilities. It's really wide open here. The filters were my hero feature, as I, as well as many others, have been calling for that one for what feels like ages. And lastly, these are starting to just look a lot better in general. The casework on this one is a step above the other designs that I've had in at this point at this price. We get some curves in the front, the paint quality looks good, there's a mixture of materials with the high gloss black sides, there's an internal power supply, in general just a better looking product than a simple metal little box. This one is simple but actually has the things we want, and they did it without pricing a lot of the budget-minded audio enthusiasts out of the market. What often doesn't get discussed is the device is essentially future-proof. Not saying better options won't come out down the road at this price point, but at the very least, this isn't going to become obsolete due to a lack of software or app support. It's a mix of simple yet effective, where you can really use this as a center point and grow and upgrade as you desire down the road. I personally love all the new tech and software. Heck, I daily and ever solo DMP A10, which is basically a streaming supercomputer. But I also can't say that I wonder if something like this could become obsolete without warning. I mean, it's unlikely and certainly not going to happen in the near term, but you can almost certainly say the lifespan on a simple product like the ZP3 here is endless. Well, as endless as the internals of the device are anyways. On the topic of the internals, I can give you guys a quick look under the hood. I won't do a circuit board deep dive, I'm just not that kind of guy, but from what I can see here, it looks like a good design, built with good components. Fosi typically does a pretty good job on this front. They tend to use the premium options where it actually matters. This won't be a video covering op-amp swapping, but as you can see, you do get a pair to play around with, and there's enough height in the case that you should be able to experiment with all the different brands. Some of these cases, they can end up being a little short, and some of the op-amps won't fit. This one looks like it's going to be pretty good on that front. As far as a sound review, it's plainly and simply a good value for this price point. There is no added warmth or brightness beyond what you deem necessary through the tone controls. I personally didn't feel the need for any, and left it on bypass for the majority of the review, outside of when I was actually testing the tone controls themselves. The specs look good, it's a clean sound. This type of product shouldn't strive for coloration, and I didn't find that it did in any way. So that's really good. Throwing a quick shout out for what they call the Fosi Audio Music Visualizer. They included this one in the shipment, and I was thinking it was just gonna be some gimmicky little light. And in many ways, it kind of is, but at the very least, it does look kind of cool and doesn't impact the audio in any way, as it's just a microphone rather than an input signal traveling through it. You can adjust the sensitivity, the light color, and the delay. It also has a number of modes you can cycle through depending on the look you're going for. So while this video isn't really focused on this one, it's a cool little gadget that might add a touch of life to your desktop or space. And if this preamp interests you, check out one of my many other videos covering amps, speakers. They're gonna match up with this one perfectly. Take care, talk soon, later.